This video will discuss the difference between evidence-based best practice articles and articles that report the results of original scholarly research. Scholarly research articles are considered primary sources, whereas best practice articles summarize the evidence from that original research, making it a secondary source. For more information, please watch our video, Primary versus Secondary Sources. When conducting a search in a library database, it is a best practice to check the scholarly peer-reviewed journals box. This limits your results to those articles that are published in a peer-reviewed journal. However, it is important to know that both primary and secondary sources can appear in a peer-reviewed journal. Being published in a peer-reviewed journal does not automatically mean that every article in the journal is scholarly. Just like a magazine, such as People or Time, a journal can have editorials, reviews, report summaries, case studies, in addition to original research articles published in each issue of that journal. It is important to closely examine each article to ensure that it meets the criteria for your assignment. Your instructor may want only evidence-based articles or scholarly research articles. With practice, it will become easier to identify the difference. Let's take a look at an example of a scholarly research article. Many scholarly articles provide a summary or an abstract at the beginning of the article, which allows the reader to get an overview of the research and what the results were. Oftentimes, this suggestion provides enough information for you to determine if you are reading a scholarly research article. If a detailed abstract isn't available at the top of an article, you can learn to quickly look for a few key items to ensure you are using a scholarly article. Research articles are typically laid out in a similar format. The abstract may be followed by a literature review or an introduction to the topic, a description of the research methods, data collection, as well as the findings and results. The end of a research article focuses on a discussion of the results and the final conclusions or recommendations that came out of the research. A research article will typically have graphs, charts, or tables displaying the results of the research, in addition to a substantial reference list or bibliography. The language used in a scholarly article is typically more advanced and discipline-specific because it is written for other scholars in their same field. This abstract tells us that this qualitative study conducted interviews at 5 hospitals and then were analyzed using thematic coding. The results from evaluating the interviewed data produced 5 themes and challenges faced by unit managers. From this information, we can tell already that new knowledge or evidence was created because of the completed research. Now let's take a look at an example of an evidence-based article which often examines the results or new knowledge that has been published in scholarly research articles. The first thing you may notice about an evidence-based article is that it is much easier to read than a scholarly research article. The language and layout are less formal and structured, making it easier to read. The authors of this article have read the complex research and have summarized the evidence in a way that is easier to understand. Instead of graphs, charts, or tables displaying research data, evidence-based articles often have images, diagrams, or boxes with lists of best practices which are based off of evidence. In this example, the article describes a pilot project at a cancer center where a mindfulness curriculum was introduced to nurses throughout the organization. In the third paragraph, we are told that this article describes the outcomes of their mindfulness program and will offer suggestions for how other nurses can use mindfulness in their work. Evidence-based articles may also have lengthy reference lists, like a scholarly article. However, these resources allow you as the reader to track down the evidence used. For example, we can see in this article that the authors refer to completed research on mindfulness and have cited their resources so that we can scroll to the end of the article to find footnotes 9 and 10 and could then use that information to find the resource that was summarized in this evidence-based article. Remember, research is the process of discovering knowledge, and evidence-based practice is the use of that knowledge to influence decision-making and bring about change in clinical practice. When searching for articles in the library databases, remember to examine each resource carefully to determine if it is reporting the results of scholarly research or if it's an evidence-based article. For help with this topic and more, check out our Answers database where you can review our frequently asked questions and chat with a Rasmussen librarian.